Nikolai Zherdev was as problematic as he was brilliant, one of the greatest talents of his generation, and at the same time, one of the biggest wasted potentials in modern hockey. You might have heard the story about him falling asleep on the bench during a game, but honestly, that was probably the least of the trouble he ever caused. It was clear, even back then, that he wasn't the type of player to leave it all on the ice. Quite the opposite. Clubs had long been frustrated by his attitude, his lack of commitment, and above all, his complete inconsistency. One night, he looked like a future NHL star. The next day, he acted like he didn't care if he was even playing. And the problems certainly didn't end on the ice. According to police records, in one instance, he followed his wife to a parking lot, grabbed a metal rod, and smashed it against her car while shouting threats at her. And that wasn't all. A few years later, after returning from a party where alcohol was involved, he crashed his car, but the story doesn't end there. Locals then proceeded to damage his car, scratching offensive messages into the paintwork. Zherdev himself later openly admitted to his alcohol problems, which destroyed not only his career, but also his personal life. This shows just how seriously the clubs took it. The club hired a private investigator because of his behavior. As then Columbus manager Doug McLean later said, "During our time working together in Columbus, I hired a private investigator because of Zherdev's behavior off the ice to find out what was really going on." This was no longer just a player problem. This was a ticking time bomb. And you know what the saddest part of it all is? The kid was just a natural talent. He had it all. On his day, when he felt like it, he would fly down the ice and score, as this clip from the game against Chicago proves. His shot, it is just truly unreal. And those hands of his? Stick handling, I could easily compare to that of Connor McDavid. However, having raw talent alone is simply not enough. And the story of Nikolai Zherdev serves as proof that even the greatest of gifts can be completely squandered away. It was a truly wild ride, filled with so many ups and downs, and honestly, this is one of the wildest videos I have ever put together. So sit back, relax, and let's go back to the very beginning of this story. Nikolai Zherdev was born on November 5th, 1984, in Kiev, and he began playing hockey at the tender age of 4. He took his very first steps in the sport at the Sokil Kiev Youth Academy. Due to some complications with filling out the roster, he had to play a year up with the 1983 age group. There was another boy in this group who later made it to the NHL, Anton Babchuk. In 1998, during a tournament, his team faced the Russian team LMJ Elektrostal. The opposing coach noticed the talent of both Zherdev and Babchuk and invited them for a tryout with his team, which was playing in the second highest Russian league at the time. Both accepted the offer and moved to Russia together to continue their development. In the 2000/2001 season, Zherdev played for Elektrostal in the junior league, recording 14 points in 18 games. Even back then, he demonstrated a natural instinct for hockey. The following year was even more impressive. He tallied 28 points in 53 games and began to make his mark on the international stage as well. He was the Russian team's top scorer at the U18 World Championship. 11 points in 8 games spoke for itself. Professional clubs soon took notice of his talent, and Zherdev ultimately chose CSKA, primarily because he wanted to train under the legendary Viktor Tikhonov, making his professional hockey debut at just 17 years old. His debut season was spectacular, setting a high bar for his career. He tallied 12 goals and 12 assists, proving his worth on the international stage. At the 2003 World Juniors, he won gold with 1 point in 6 games. The 2003 NHL draft is still considered one of the best. Names like Fleury, Stahl, and Horton went at the top. When Columbus picked 4th, it was a no-brainer. They chose a young Russian, Nikolai Zherdev. At the time, Columbus was a new team desperately needing a franchise face. Someone who draws fans to the arena and gives the team a sense of star power, and that is exactly what they saw in Zherdev. But his journey to the NHL was anything but easy. Due to visa issues and complicated bureaucracy, he had to wait for his debut. He didn't play his first NHL game until December 2nd, 2003, against Anaheim. He managed to adapt quite rapidly to the unique and demanding style of North American professional hockey. During his debut season as a rookie, he appeared in 57 games, managing to record 13 goals and a total of 34 points on the score sheet for his team. His impressive performance earned him several Calder Trophy votes, ultimately finishing in 9th place in the final voting for the league's most outstanding rookie of the year. After the 2004-05 lockout season, which he spent delivering great performances in Russia, Zherdev returned to the NHL more confident than ever, and it showed immediately. His game suddenly had pace, fluidity, and moments that took your breath away. In the 2005 to 2006 season, he became one of the main offensive drivers for Columbus. He scored 27 goals in 73 games and, with 54 points, was one of the team's most productive players. On paper, it looked like the start of a stellar career, but the first warning signs were already appearing back then. His flashes of brilliance were often followed by stretches where he was practically invisible on the ice. He was reluctant to play defense, his effort was inconsistent, and both coaches and teammates began to notice that he was playing mainly for the joy of deking and scoring goals. He simply lacked the discipline that is absolutely crucial in the NHL. And then another matter came up as well. It's about the contract. When he became a free agent, Zherdev was looking for a much better deal than what Columbus was willing to offer him. The organization proposed a contract worth $7 million, but his agent insisted on $8.5 million spread across 3 years. Negotiations eventually stalled, tensions began to rise, and the pressure on everyone involved continued to mount. His camp eventually hardened its stance. Zherdev signed a contract in Russia and sent a clear message. If Columbus doesn't back down, he won't return to the NHL. He missed training camp and the start of the season and arrived in America at the very last minute. The deal was reached on September 28, 2006. A 3-year, $7.5 million contract was signed, but it came at a price. He missed training camp and early games, and his relationship with the club was never the same. This dispute significantly changed how the NHL viewed Nikolai Zherdev. It showed his self-confidence, but also started his reputation as a player who puts his own interests before the team. And that exact label followed him for the rest of his career. The 2007 to 2008 season was statistically the best of his entire career. He played all 82 games, scored 26 goals, and racked up a total of 61 points. Statistically, he delivered exactly what Columbus expected of him. On paper, he looked like a bona fide star, but the reality within the team was completely different. The relationship with head coach Ken Hitchcock was already ice cold by that time. Hitchcock was known for demanding absolute discipline, 100% effort on every shift, and strict adherence to the system, and that was exactly where their worlds collided. Zherdev played hockey on instinct. He loved offense, deking, and freedom with the puck. Defense, backchecking, playing without the puck. These were things that often didn't interest him at all, and it was precisely this nonchalance that drove Hitchcock crazy. Even though he scored goals and put up points, the coach mainly saw the mistakes that, from his perspective, were dragging the team down. Tension between them was mounting. Zherdev felt that the coach was holding him back and didn't trust him. Hitchcock, on the other hand, saw a player who refused to buy into his system. And the longer the season went on, the clearer it became that this relationship had no future. The breaking point came in the summer of 2008. Columbus management had to ask themselves an uncomfortable question. Does it make sense to keep a player with immense talent who is tearing the locker room apart and undermining the coach? The answer was clear. Despite his undeniable qualities, they concluded that his long-term presence on the team is unsustainable. And so, the decision was made. Nikolai Zherdev was traded to the New York Rangers. A new chapter, a new city, a new chance, but also a final opportunity to prove that he could balance talent with discipline. For Nikolai, it was supposed to be a fresh start, and from an individual perspective, it worked at first. In his first season with the Rangers, he came close to his career high in points. He racked up 58 points and, in many games, was one of the few players who could actually get New York's offense going. He often seemed like the team's only bright spot. But then, the playoffs arrived, and with them, a completely different style of hockey. Harder, faster, ruthless. Every battle hurt, and every meter of ice had to be earned. And that is exactly where the limits of Zherdev's game were exposed. His technical style was suddenly too fragile. In key moments, he couldn't make an impact. 7 long playoff games, and not a single point, and the criticism was absolutely relentless. After the season, it was clear that the trust wasn't what the club had envisioned. When it came time to negotiate a new deal, the Rangers weren't willing to offer him a contract that met his financial demands, and with that, his chapter in New York closed sooner than anyone expected. When Zherdev returned to Russia for the first time in 2009, many people saw it as just a temporary stop. The expectation was that he would boost his confidence, find his form, and then return to the NHL stronger than ever. He was putting up points for Atlant Matishchi, and his play wasn't bad at all, but his mind was still in America, and that is exactly why another opportunity arose. In the 2010-11 season, he signed a 1-year contract with the Philadelphia Flyers. This was meant to be his chance, his last opportunity to prove that he belonged among the elite and that he could play for the team, not just for himself. The statistics didn't look all that bad, really. He managed to score 16 goals in 54 games, which is a more than solid result for a guy playing in the bottom 6. But that same old problem reared its ugly head, once again, a total, frustrating lack of consistency. Great nights were followed by games where he was barely heard from, and his relationship with coach Peter Laviolette quickly hit a dead end. To top it all off, another bizarre situation occurred. Zherdev fell asleep on the bench during a game. As Derek Settlemeyer said, "I always used to give Coach Laviolette a hard time, telling him, look, Nikolai is just sitting there, and yet he's our best goal scorer per minute on the ice. The coach would always lose his mind over it." During one of the games, Zherdev looked like he didn't want to play at all. Suddenly, Laviolette shoved me, pointed to the end of the bench, and said, "So, most goals per minute, huh? Well, take a look at him. He's sleeping over there." The coach was furious and sent me to go across the entire bench to handle the situation. The instructions were clear. Go over there and tell him that if he doesn't wake up right now, he's never going to play again. So I went up to him and said, "Look, man, I know you're not playing every shift, but you can't just close your eyes and take a nap out there." For Laviolette, just as it had been for Hitchcock before him, Zherdev was exactly the type of player he had no patience for. As soon as he lost the puck and didn't switch into a press, his trust in him would plummet. Nikolai was a healthy scratch more often, which bruised his ego. In May 2011, after the Philadelphia season, Russian media reported a serious conflict between Nikolai and his wife. Allegedly, a restaurant argument led to threats and car damage, prompting a police report. Soon, however, a different version emerged, claiming no incident occurred. What really happened, no one knows. The only thing that is certain is that this scandal has once again reinforced Zherdev's reputation as a player around whom problems arose more frequently than with others. After this season, his chapter in the NHL was closed for good. What followed was a long and sad journey through various KHL clubs. The talent that once shone so brightly gradually faded, increasingly overshadowed by problems off the ice. After 2011, when he left North America for good, Zherdev's life turned into an endless carousel of new chances and rapid falls. Every subsequent stint in the KHL looked promising at first, only to fall apart again. It didn't matter how much money the club offered him, the story played out the same way every time. The first truly serious warning came after his return to Atlant Matishchi. On paper, it looked great. He had a lot of influence in the locker room. In the 2011-12 season, he racked up 40 points in 53 games, and there was talk again that he had found his balance. This earned him a World Championship nomination. There, he reached one of his career's final peaks. Russia cruised through the group stage. They beat Norway and Finland, then defeated Slovakia in the final. Zherdev played 10 games, scoring 6 points. With Evgeny Malkin, he celebrated the title. For a moment, he was back where he belonged. But beneath the shine of the gold medals, old problems were already resurfacing. Nikolai's title celebrations quickly spiraled into an endless bender, signaling not a fresh start, but rather the direction his life was heading once again. This moment was supposed to be a turning point. Instead, it became another warning that went unheeded. In the summer of 2013, Zherdev signed a 5-year contract with Kazan, but this chapter didn't last long. After just 11 games and a few weeks, the club ran out of patience. Late-night outings and showing up late to practice, all of that went against the club's philosophy. And so, Kazan got rid of Zherdev as quickly as they could. His journey continued to Spartak Moscow, and history repeated itself, this time in an even more bizarre fashion. Reports surfaced in the media that he had completely totaled his car, which he had left parked in front of a hotel, while he himself was allegedly under the influence of alcohol. His car was reportedly damaged by locals afterwards, and hotel staff spoke of his inappropriate behavior. After Spartak, Zherdev went on to play in lower Russian leagues and then even had a stint in Italy. It was the exact same story, playing out every single time. A truly brilliant talent, gradually undone by all the chaos off the ice, and you couldn't help but feel a deep mix of admiration and sadness at how his career slowly faded away. So, that was the story of Nikolai Zherdev. Looking back, he played 421 games in the NHL, scored 115 goals, and added 146 assists. For most players, that would be a great career, but with him, it almost feels like an underachievement. He had the talent for 1,000 points and a spot in the Hall of Fame, but he never quite fulfilled his potential. His legacy is a complicated one. On ice, he made top defensemen look foolish. Off it, he lost to his demons. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. I'll see you in the next video, or in one of the many other videos I have already posted on this channel. I'll see you later.